All right, welcome guys. Really excited about my guest today. We've got Dwayne Klassen. Now, Dwayne is a speaker, he's an author, he's a coach. He's written The Remarkable Man. It's an incredible book. He's the founder of the Remarkable Man Project, which is, I'm going to let Dwayne really get into the details of that. And Dwayne, welcome. And thank you for taking some time here out of your day for this interview. I really appreciate that. I wanted to get you on here because I see you as a leader of men. You've been able to put a group together that teaches, men in the modern world today how to be a man, how to really get down, how to get real, and how to make some moves and take some action in their lives. And, based on all the things that you've done, I really wanted to get you on here to kind of tell your life story. Where did you come from and what happened that got you into being, a remarkable man, I guess?
Well, first of all, Shane, I'm honored to be on your program and being able to talk to you today. I love the direction you're going, brother, and what you're up to and playing a big game yourself. So I'm honored to be on the program here. I guess the 411 on me, to give you the Coles version, if you will, is I've been a serial entrepreneur most of my life. And for most of your viewers, you can't see me. I'm a big guy. I'm 6'4". And however, as big as I am, I've actually played small many times in my life. And I actually grew up very shy and introverted. I have had anxiety issues in my late teens into my 20s. But I realized that in order for me to get to the next level, I would have to push through some major, major walls and resistance that I had in regards to what my internal programming was. However, to fast forward, if you will, about 8 years ago, I've had some great successes. I've had some great failures. But about 8 years ago, I had what I call my perfect storm. Now, I've been a serial entrepreneur most of my life. Speaking and training was a big part of my world. I love writing. However, I had gone into the advertising world, and I actually invented a new form of outdoor advertising. And the company was just absolutely skyrocketing. We were a darling of the investor community, and we had expanded into the United States and into Vegas. And I ended up manifesting some less than honorable people to help me run my company. So my perfect storm was about an 18-month period. So through that process, I lost my company to crooked partners. I actually won the company back through the courts, but there was nothing left to save. It was decimated. While that was happening, I found out that my 7-year-old son from a previous relationship wasn't mine. And so for any of you dads out there or moms, you can understand what that would feel like. So I was crushed. I was absolutely, I basically flatlined in regards to who I was as a man. I lost my identity. During this time, I was actually engaged to the woman of my dreams. She's a very high-functioning, high-powered, gorgeous woman. And yeah, when I manifested her in my world, I was at the top of my game. However, through the loss of my company and finding out my son wasn't mine, I tanked. I really didn't know who I was anymore. And that guy that she had met, her remarkable man, her champion, was no longer there. And I didn't know how to get it back. I didn't know how I needed to step up and be the remarkable man in this woman's life. So I did what pop culture tells most guys what to do. Yes, dear. Whatever you want, dear. No, you pick the restaurant. No, whatever movie you like, I'm good with it. Here's some flowers, dear. And meanwhile, she's doing the gag reflex, like, oh God, where's my man? Where's a frickin' decision? So I couldn't figure out why all the things that pop culture says I'm supposed to do as a man, happy wife, happy life, it wasn't working. So I ended up going into the friend zone in my own relationship. There's a number of different details that occurred, but I ended up moving out. I had my own place, and there I was. I had lost everything. Now, my fiance, she ended up moving back east, so it was a catalyst for change for her as well. So I started looking for support. I was looking around for what was going on for guys. And I hang out with a lot of great people. My lady friends, including my sister, they were belonging to all these women's organizations. I mean, there was a women's group for pretty much every aspect of a woman's life. And I'm thinking to myself, what do guys have? What's out there for men? And I'm telling you, Shane, it was like pulling teeth. It was like, well, I don't know. Where do you start looking? I'm Googling, I'm going, okay. And I was in Calgary at the time, and I'm going like, okay. I couldn't find anything. Then finally one guy goes, Dwayne, I know a guy who knows a guy, and he knows a guy. So I was invited to this men's group, and it was in a church basement, and it was a bunch of guys commiserating. They all wanted to stay in their drama. They were all hurt. They were all being really stuck in their victim, and no one wanted to change. And I'm going, good God, guys, come on. Where's the call to action? Where's stepping up? Where's playing a bigger game? Come on, let's do this. Nothing. So then it's interesting, when you put the intention out there, all of a sudden the universe kind of provides a little bit more substance and opportunity. Well, within about 3 weeks, I was invited to a men's retreat. It was a weekend out in the forest. It was a camp. Shane, it was the most misogynistic experience I've ever been in. Here they are taking these guys they're broken, they're challenged, they're not sure where to go next, but they're taught that you're going to go home and you're going to claim your woman. You're going to claim your castle again. And no way are you ever going to be second fiddle. You are the man. So here's all these guys going, yeah, exactly. Oh, yeah, I'm the man. That's right. And of course, they go home and they're going, honey, things are going to be different now. Yeah. And she's going, what? Come again? What is this? Oh, yeah, things are going to be different now. I'm taking over. And I just know that when these guys left, probably 60% of the relationships deep sixed, because the women are going, yeah, whatever. Yeah. So I realized that, good God, there's got to be a solution to it. And at this time, I was going through all kinds of self-development, personal growth, and reading David Data and Robert Bly and all the guys that were in the space for men at the time. And I went, there's got to be something out there. And it was like I was just kind of downloaded with the idea to create a movement of my own, if you will. Mm-hmm. Well, it scared the shit out of me. It really did. I mean, at that time, I'm going, you do see where I'm at right now, right? Mm. So I got back to my purpose and passion, which was writing. And I was downloaded The Remarkable Man, the book you see over my shoulder. And as I was writing that book, Shane, doing the research on it, I was blown away with what I found out. And what I found out was that there's a global epidemic happening to men. Mm. Men are more frustrated, more confused, more challenged as to what it means to be a man in today's world than ever before. So I knew I was onto something. And when I really started to explore the masculine and feminine energy is how it was showing up, I started doing a really deep dive into that. And I realized that I wanted to be one of the top leaders in the world for men and relationships. Mm-hmm. And when I started talking to men about how the masculine and feminine energy is showing up, a lot of the guys were going, oh my God, that's me. How do I get it back? What do I do? And the women were going, oh my God, that's my Frank. Oh, that's him. What does he got to do to get it back? So I knew the book wouldn't be just enough or doing some seminars once in a while. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to create a movement. And so the Remarkable Man Project was created. And so our goal is to create the largest leadership and empowerment network in the world for men.
Wow.
And 'cause I'll be honest with you, the Remarkable Man Project is not a process for men to, well, we're going to hand out an S to put on your chest
Mm-hmm.
and put a cape on your back, and you're going to go out there and be a remarkable man. Well, the reality is, every man knows what a remarkable man is to him. He's been him before. He has rocked it. He's kicked ass at work. He's been an amazing lover. He's been an amazing partner. And if he's a father, he's been an amazing dad at some point, or he knows what that looks like. So what we wanted to do is we wanted to create a vehicle for men to identify what the remarkable man is to him, and then give him the tools, the resources, and the brotherhood to help him achieve it.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what the Remarkable Man Project was all about, and that the coaching came out of that. And yeah, so we're having some fun, brother.
Wow, that's an awesome story. I mean, but you know, there's a few things I wanted to enter a conversation on. First of all, you know, when you went through that really hard time, you know, finding out that your son wasn't yours. I mean, that's a pretty intense thing. You know, was that your rock bottom moment in life? Was that like the biggest adversity and challenge? And you know, the thing is, a lot of guys, when they go through something like that, there's a few different stories that they'll tell themselves. Number one is, you know, the victim story, blaming everybody else. And then there's the I can't do better story. And then, you know, what was your story when you narrated through that? I mean, you said you tanked after that. What was I mean, you started reading and stuff, but what was your belief system, or what mental tools did you use to get out of that? Because that's a tough pickle. And I've seen a lot of guys get into situations like that and really get stuck in that whole victimhood. What made you not play that card, or did you play that card and then you hopped out of it?
Well, it's interesting. You know, I've been probably 25 years of self-development and personal growth. And, you know, I've got a great library of audio and books and whatnot. But I'll be honest with you, when I went through this, Shane, I forgot all about it. I totally forgot all about it. And I was in the blame game. I was pointing fingers. I was like, how could you do this? How could you betray me? I can't believe this is happening to me. And yeah, I did the pity party thing for a while. I was not fun to be around. And I was finding where, you know, trying to find my way back.
Yeah.
And it was, one of my mentors is Les Brown. And one of his famous quotes is, if you're going to fall down, fall on your back, because if you can look up, you can get up.
Oh, yeah.
And so I started looking around, and I'm realizing that, and my sister, Karen, she's just absolutely amazing in my life, and she's been a great supporter, and she's a coach herself. And she was the one that triggered me, that said, Dwayne, you're better than this. You're forgetting who you truly are. And how, you know, my connection to all that is, to source, to God, to whatever that is. And I just lost that connection. And when I got back to it, and I realized, all right, talk to me. What do we got to do? How do we do this? And then it all started to come together. Clear thinking. And here's the thing. It was taking 100% responsibility for how that all shook out. Instead of me for a lot of guys, I mean, you find out your son isn't yours. Well, how could that be your fault? Oh my God. No, it's not about taking it your fault. It is just, how are you responding to it? We are all responsible for how we respond to our circumstances.
Yeah.
Circumstances may be really tough, but we all have a choice on how we deal with it. And I could stay in the pit. I could stay there and blame, but where am I going to go? What's going to happen? And so to get out of that victimhood, I had to take 100% responsibility and see where I was and how did I actually create that? And I actually rewound the tape, if you will.
Yeah.
And looked at how I manifested these situations. where I wasn't necessarily a keeper at the gate. You know, I fell asleep at the gate, if you will, and allowed these things to occur. Now, our ego doesn't like to hear that.
No.
So we like to project that it's not us, it's them. So anyone that is going through some challenges right now, it's amazing when you take 100% responsibility for it. Because what happens is you actually take your power back. And when you take your power back, now you can start seeking solutions. You can start seeking answers and being able to develop a roadmap for getting out of it and moving forward.
Yeah. Well, you know, that's great advice. And I, you know, things from my life, exactly the same thing happened. I started taking responsibility, and I think it's so, sometimes, you know, I saw this post the other day and it really struck me because it was based around this type of conversation. And sometimes I think people will narrate a negative movie in their head about what would happen if you took responsibility. And I think they think that that would be almost more painful than to continue to sit in their pain. Right. But it's amazing what happens when you let go and all of a sudden you just accept responsibility. It's like a weight just falls off you, isn't it?
It sure does.
Yeah. I mean, we could hold on to it forever, but it just hurts us, right? So, wow.
Well, there's a little nugget, if you will, that I'd like to share. And it was when I started looking for the solutions. Anyone listening right now, if they feel resentment towards someone, wherever you're feeling resentment, it's like a compass. It is absolutely accurate. And it points to exactly where your values and boundaries were not expressed, or they weren't strong enough. Someone else's, the person that you're feeling resentful towards, chances are their values and boundaries are stronger than yours. And it might be unconscious. You're not even aware of that fact. But whenever we have resentment, it might be, if it's money, if it's the relationship, if it's love, and we're not getting our needs met, then boom, our values and boundaries are not being honored or respected, or in most cases, never expressed.
Wow.
And
wow,
so
you know, if you're watching this, you got to rewind that and write that down. I just took a note of that. I've never heard it said just exactly like that. And that's so, you know, mind opening. It's exactly what it is. You're not expressing those values and boundaries. Wow. You know, but here's the thing. When you started going, you went into this group where what was the word you used when in the church group, they were,
I mean, they were victims. They were just really stuck in their dramas and their stories.
Yeah. So how did you start seeing that? Like, was there a reflection of the way that you were perceiving some of your situation in what you saw there? And that's where you realized that's like the wound that needed some remarkable man healing, or?
Yeah, I saw that there was even the structure of it.
Yeah.
I felt that they were just feeding off of each other. There was no safety line to pull them out of it. And I realized that was what was missing. And you know, I know that these guys wanted more, but the structure just wasn't there. And I realized that was what was missing in a lot of the men's organizations, was that structure. Okay, I get it. You're hurt. Things are happening. It doesn't feel comfortable. You're in a divorce or the breakup, or some of the guys, they're disconnected from their children through the court system, which is very unfair to a lot of guys. Yeah. But it's okay. This is where you're at. Where do you want to be? And that's the container that wasn't there. Wow.
So when you started breaking down the structure, you know, how did you start piecing that all together as far as the structure? Like, is there a structure for the remarkable man that, you know, you kind of follow a guideline to keep those conversations? Because you're right. misery loves company. And so when people get into the boohoo stories, they can often build up, and then it becomes like, oh my gosh, this is probably the most depressing conversation of my life. Like,
Indeed.
get out of here. I think I had a bad life before, but now it's 10 times worse. So.
And that happens, no question. Well, in the Remarkable Man Project, it is a process, and so it's a membership, and the guys come and they get their the Remarkable Man Project or RMP binders, and within the structure of each meeting, we will have our introductions, and then we go into what's called a takeaway, and the takeaway is about 20 to 30 minutes of real world empowerment. It'll either be myself, or we'll bring in a guest speaker to train, teach on a life lesson. And our fundamentals are, it's the Remarkable Man Project. We're here to be champions to women, heroes to children, and brothers to each other. So whatever our teaching is, it has to be in alignment with those three tenets.
Yeah.
And so we'll have, it might be something on leadership. It might be something on being the best dad you possibly can be. It could be about healing the relationships. It could be on health and vitality. We've done several on like how guys can boost their testosterone, how they can, for optimum health. I'm actually doing one this week. I did one in Edmonton as well. It's about your own personal brand. How do you show up as a man in your personal life? And are you an awesome representation of what it means to be a man? Because right now, and you've seen this, Shane, it's like right now we do not have a lot of great examples of men out there. No. And right now, the brand of man, if you will, man, we're not looking so good out there.
Yeah, we're getting into some trouble, and that's the thing is, I think lately, as I watched, but I think it's just that there's a lot of times have changed in such a degree. When I was a kid, it was always the man brings home the bacon, and
Sure.
and the wife is going to stay at home and take care of the house, and that made the man feel strong and proud, like a peacock with his feathers out, and then. But what has happened in the masculine feminine dynamic that has resulted in what I know, and for someone this is not a judgment statement, I just feel that the masculinity of men has kind of come down quite a few notches. And I'm not saying we need to be, the kind of guy, like we're not, trolls or cavemen here, but what's happened to the alpha male, and what is alpha male today?
And that's a great question. One of the things that's happening right now is that we are in the age of the empowered woman, and rightfully so. She's rocking it. She's kicking ass, and she's doing amazing things, as she should be. So as women are going up like this in their level of awareness and education and personal power, men are flatlining. And men are flatlining due to a number of things, and one is that we're losing our sense of utility. That time of our dads and our grandparents where they brought home the bacon, well, that doesn't exist anymore. It's very, very rare that, other than maternity leave, that she's home doing her thing and it's just a one-income family. That's a thing of the past. But what men are starting to see now is that women can do it all. And they can. They're rocking it. They're doing amazing things. And his own sense of self is like, okay, well, how do I show up for this amazing, empowered woman? And for a lot of guys, this whole thing of emasculation is happening because of their own insecurities. They don't know how to show up. Just like I did when I went into the tank with my identity. I did what pop culture told us to do. And so all these guys are trying to do the same thing, and man, it's feeling more feminized. And you talk about the alpha male. Well, see, my concept of what the alpha male is probably a little bit different than society thinks of it. Most people think the alpha male is the strong, brutish kind of, doesn't give a shit, and He's on his Harley and he's just taking no prisoners and he's just badass. He's just doing his thing. But the alpha to me, and I believe the alpha image is changing to that of a man that's on point. Mm. He knows himself. He's got a strong sense of identity, and his values and boundaries are very understood. And that's how he rolls. He's unapologetic about being in his authentic masculine. And I want to preface that for a second. I talk a lot about the authentic masculine. It's different from the egoic masculine that we're moving away from. Mm. So the egoic masculine is fight or flight. That's where that little boy comes in and he's very reactionary. Mm-hmm. The egoic masculine is also this guy he's prone to violence or physical abuse. He doesn't know how to handle that emotional connection. And, he's just been trained by, unfortunately, his fathers or guardians or the people that were in his world. And so we're evolving into this authentic masculine where we know ourselves, we're very strong in our masculine, but we're also heart-centered. Mm-hmm. And we understand the power of the divine feminine. And for a lot of guys, when I tell them in my coaching or in the Remarkable Man Project that you too have feminine energy in you, a lot of guys are, whoa, hey, time out. You had me up until there, man. I don't have feminine energy. I'm not gay. No way. Well, it has nothing to do with that. Absolutely nothing to do with that. A man is in his feminine when he's creative, when he's communicating, when he's nurturing. When he needs to feel that emotional connection, he's in his feminine energy. And the feminine energy in a man is really powerful. And we need to honor how that feminine energy shows up in us. Mm-hmm. However, if it's too much, if we're too far in our feminine energy, this is where we become indecisive. This is where we become the yes man. Mm. And the things start to unravel fast. And this is where most women go, yeah, he's cute and all, but he's just not solid in who he is.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the dynamic between the masculine and the feminine. In my experience, women want a guy who can make decisions and stay the course on his purpose because, there's always a lot of testing and stuff that happens in life. And, what was that book by David Dieta, actually? Oh my gosh.
The Superior Man?
The Superior Man, sorry. I read that book. And when I read that, I was like, you know what? You definitely get tested by life and, by your partner. And they're going to want to know that you're on course. And when you get off course and you make small decisions, that in their eyes is going to take you down a few notches because there's always this fight for sort of supremacy in a relationship, but it's almost on a subconscious level. But when you become aware of it as a man and you start realizing, I gotta stick to my guns. Yeah. But that I think kind of defines a guy is, when they start learning from those failures or those times that they trip up and they start realizing, it's another one of those tests I gotta be on the ball here. So, but the thing is, when you're running your program, in my experience, a lot of guys, they have such a, pardon me for saying this, but they have a little bit of, an ego when it comes to even wanting to take a look. Like the ego is like the lion that guards the gate, to the mind. And it's just a prowling lion, and he's going to roar and bark and scream and attack anything that tries to get inside the intellect because it defends what we know. So how do you help guys, get rid of the lion, or do you feed it a steak, or like how do you get the lion out of there so you can get past the freaking ego?
Well, it's coming down to where a man's pain is, and how long is he willing to endure that pain or that challenge, that drama that keeps repeating itself. At what point are you willing to step up and make some changes? And with the coaching that I do, or plugging into the Remarkable Man Project, a lot of guys, as alpha as they might be, or in their ego as they might be, a lot of them are still doing the lone wolf thing. And they might have their brothers, their boys, they go to the pub with, or their teammates or whatnot. But when it comes to really talking about the stuff that really matters, a lot of guys are deflecting it, and they're like, "Oh, you want to? What was that? Oh, hey, game's on. You want another beer? Are you good? 2 more, please." You know,
Yeah.
and that becomes the depth of a guy's conversation. And meanwhile, he's hurting. He is like, man, his girlfriend left him again, and he's awesome. He's a great guy, but he can't figure out why another one just left.
Yeah.
Well, it's understanding that you got to get out of that at some point, because most guys right now are failing miserably at being men in their world. And they don't want to admit it. They don't want to say anything. And 2 guys will come together and they're both effed up. And what's the first thing they say when they meet each other? Hey, how you doing? You know, oh, I'm fine.
Good.
Oh, yeah, I'm good. Got it. Yeah, we're good. Yep. And meanwhile, fine, if pardon my French, is effed up, insecure, neurotic, and emotional. And it's a truth. We're all wearing the mask. And for some guys out there listening, you know, we want to wear that mask because we want everyone to think we got our shit together. I mean, it's just a male thing that we're fighting a good fight. We got her handled, and yep, we're rocking it. Solid. But it's a mask, and behind that mask, we're hurting, and we got a lot of pain, and we've been processing a lot of pain, and we got no outlet for it.
Yeah.
And I encourage any of the guys that are listening, or the women that are listening, if you know of a brother out there that's hurting, man, it's if it doesn't move, emotion is energy in motion.
Yeah.
So your emotions, if you're not tapping into it, if you're frustrated, you're angry, you're hurt, you got a lot of pain, heartache, if you do not discuss it or talk about it or emote, it will manifest in your body as disease. And right now, Shane, I'm telling you, a lot of the guys are dealing with prostate issues at such a young age, sexual dysfunction at such a young age, heart disease, cancers, high blood pressure, you name it. These are all manifestations of emotion that's not going anywhere. We've got to come together as brothers and talk about what's real.
You know, I completely agree. And, you know, in my years of being a health coach, I also realized, so there's this strange compound effect of we have unresolved issues. We have issues that we don't want to even look at, and things that come up in life, but we're not equipped with the tools to deal with those things. But then there's this compounding effect of estrogens and all the plastics that we're consuming and all this bad food. And it starts to, so it kind of works like this. It starts with, you know, an unresolved issue, which goes into the body in some sort of thing, but it's compounded because we're eating bad foods that rot our digestive system. And now that's your second brain. And so now this isn't your body's not giving your mind the good fuel and tools that it needs in order to be healthy. And, you know, let's just say that there is like actually a nutritional formula for being an intelligent alpha male as well. But now we're denied those things. And then we have estrogen issues, hormonal issues, which affect our reactions, and those reactions affect everything else. And so it's this giant freaking mess. It is a disaster. And you know, I know, like, literally I could just count almost every day someone else that is in my circle that knows someone or has someone or is getting cancer. And it's shocking. And we have to really smarten up as men and realize that, you know, we got to really, what does it take to be alpha? And I think, you know, being healthy is a huge thing, because if people knew what you know and I know about health and how it's affecting the hormones in the mind, I mean, it's something else.
You touched on something really, really powerful, Shane, in regards to the estrogen and the hormones that right now in our water system, most of our diet, the plastics, xenoestrogen is everywhere. And we can typically transmute or process estrogen within about 3 weeks. But xenoestrogen does not break down. And guys right now, this is one of the things where we're starting this whole process of guys wondering what the hell's going on. He was alpha before. He was decisive before. And now for some reason, he's just got no game. He's got, I don't know. It's lethargic, and you probably see this when you're training guys where they're like, I got to get this back. And, one of the best ways of getting your testosterone up is heavy weights, and pushing and pulling heavy weight.
Yeah.
But a lot of guys right now, it's like there was a book that came out, Demise of Guys. And I think it's a great title because I believe there is a systematic dumbing down of men.
Mm-hmm.
If you take the will of the man out of him, then he's more placid, he's more docile, he's more malleable.
Mm-hmm.
And I see it kind of on another layer or another level about what's happening to guys. And so you're absolutely right. Guys, we need to be on point with what's going on in our world, what we're feeding ourselves, how much exercise we're getting, because it's against us out there.
Yeah.
We need to step up. We need to start playing that bigger game and be mindful of how much energy how we're in our masculine, and taking on those tests that Shane talked about.
Well, yeah, and that's another thing is we're getting into the whole hormone thing with guys here because you're dealing with guys. How do you help guys identify or place values around their sexual energy? Because most guys, they just and I'm just saying most guys, they run around. It's just about chasing the skirts because in their head they think, oh, the more notches on the belt, the cooler I am, the bigger I am, the tougher I am. But in my perspective, I've seen, and as a coach, I've coached so many people, it leads to, an untamed, unharnessed sex drive is disruptive in someone's life. But if they learn how to harness that, then it's one of the most empowering things. But how do you help guys identify that they maybe that's an issue around that?
That's a great topic. And I think it goes back to Napoleon Hill and Think and Grow Rich.
Mm-hmm.
They talk about the transmutation of sexual energy and how important that is. And this is, even from a demographic standpoint, most guys don't hit their success and economic stride until they're in their 40s and 50s. Now, this is dating themselves. This is before the .com, and now we've got a lot of young multimillionaires out there.
Mm-hmm.
But traditionally, it's typically 40, 50 years old. And the reason being is that most men at that age have understood how to transmute that sexual energy.
Mm-hmm.
So to give you an example, and this is, guys, when you're sexually aroused, and she's not there, but you're just whatever stimulant that you're dealing with that got you sexually aroused, I want to challenge you to feel that. And there's layers of energy in our body called chakras. And our sexual energy, for most men, our energy is held below the belt in our first and second chakra. Our sexual energy is there. But I tell you, if you've ever heard of chi, or the power of the universe, the space that's in between the space, you may have heard of Bruce Lee and the 1-inch punch. He, from 1 inch away, he can punch someone and send them 6 feet in the other direction. That's chi energy. And for most men, if they move that energy through their, from when they release the sexual energy through their body, not just their penis, their body, watch what happens. And I want to challenge you guys that when you're feeling sexually aroused, transmute it and shift that energy through your body. That's the Kundalini. Now you have power. Now you have presence. And when you transmute that energy, you're unstoppable. Instead of, dissipating it through masturbation or sex, watch what happens. And it takes a lot of discipline because sexual energy is a very powerful energy in men. But if you're a young guy in your 20s or in your early 30s, watch what happens. See if you can use that sexual energy to create. If you're stuck trying to create something, a business plan, a marketing plan, a go-forward plan of your life, Watch what happens when you transmute sexual energy. It's so powerful. And it's so important now that you're responsible with that sexual energy. You know the power that you wield when you have that. Now you have chi. This is when people go, wow, Shane, you got something going on, brother. What's happening? I don't know, man. You got a vibe. Something's going on. And people want to be around that vibe. Because it's all of you. It's not just below the belt. It's all of you. So that's my challenge, guys. When you have that sexual energy moving forward, it's powerful.
Yeah, it can make you or break you. It can really hold you back. You know, I know people who haven't been able to move forward or contain that for so long, and you just don't see the traction in their lives. But people who can control that, it is it's a big thing, right?
No question.
Right, you know, the emotional urges. I mean, it's a very, very strong, powerful force. It's like the one primal thing that can almost control us if we don't learn how to. Now, how can guys, if they try to control it, is there like a technique or a meditative thing that, you know, younger guys can start working on to get that self-discipline?
Well, we actually do, it's called the Hoo-Ya in the Remarkable Man Project. And we actually start some of the meetings when I can feel the energy is a little bit down. I'll go, hey guys, how's it going? Or good evening. And if I don't get a good evening, then it's like, okay guys, try that again. All right. And so here's what you do is you sit feet on the floor, and you could feel put your hand, your left or right hand, over your solar plexus or just above your belt. And the Hoo-Ya is Hoo-Ya. And so when you do it, you could feel your stomach go out really quickly, and the ya. So what you're doing is it's a release. You're releasing that Kundalini energy from below your belt, the first and second chakra. So the Hoo-Ya is a release, and it'll bring that energy up. So on the count of 3, you do 3 Hoo-Yas as loud and as deeply as you can. Ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it. So on the count of 3, and guys listening, if you're doing this, listen, and let's do this together.
All right, let's do it.
Count of 3, Hoo-Ya, as loud and as deep as you can.
Okay.
2 times. 1, 2, 3. Hoo-Ya! Hoo-Ya! Hoo-Ya!
Woo!
You should be able to feel it in your fingertips.
Oh yeah, actually a little bit of lightning there.
Now what you're doing is you're releasing that energy. Now it's a part of you. What was below the belt and now it is a part of you. So here's the challenge. If you're going to go on a date and you're all nervous, and if you're in the car's the best place to do the Hoo-Ya, because you do 3 of those, it centers you. And now you can go confidently into that date. If you have an important meeting, you got to close a deal, your energy's all over the place, do 3 Hoo-Yas. Watch what happens. This is where people go, hey, something's different about you. What's going on? So, and it's a great way of transmuting sexual energy as well. I don't recommend doing that around the dinner table. And
Oh, that's hilarious. Well, you know, I just wanted to have maybe just 2 more questions here with you, because I know you've probably got to get on here, but you know, it said without vision, or men perish from a lack of vision. And you know, one of the things that I really want to help guys do, and women as well, is figure out what it is that they need to do to have a crystal clear vision for their lives. And obviously this has so much to do around what you're teaching and as being a remarkable man is, okay, listen, I got a heart and drive, but I'm confused. I don't know where I want to go, what I want to do. There's so much freaking information out there, and I feel stuck. Maybe I had hopes and dreams and things that I wanted to accomplish and achieve in my life, but now I don't, you know, it's all washed out with the overwhelm. How do you help guys get a clear vision for their lives?
Well, it is a process. Everyone knows what their clear vision is. Actually, they actually do know it. They're just allowing all the other stuff to create a filter around it, and it's just taking that filter away is the hard part. I actually have a process called How to Create Your Remarkable Life. In fact, you can get a free download if you go to DwayneKlassen.com. It's on there. And it's a workbook. And basically what it does is it takes, and you can just identify some of the things that you really enjoy doing. But more than that, who are your mentors out there? Who are the people that are rocking their lives? And I want you to pick people that are in various fields. And once you identify who those heroes are, those people that are just knocking out of the park, why? Why are you in alignment with them? What is it about them? Because here's the interesting thing, is that we're all mirrors of each other. What you admire in someone means that you have the same skill set within yourself. If you look at all these superstars out there and you sit them down, they're just as normal as you and I. And most of them have gone through hell to get to where they're at. There is no such thing as luck. There's no such thing as just as a simple story of wealth and success unless they inherited it. So it's so important that you identify what your skills are from the time you were a kid, and getting to that. What do you want to be when you grow up? From that story, you already had a fairly good idea what it was, even if it was fanciful. So what was it about that, and all the changes through your life? How did it change? What was the career choices? What was the difference? And now you're where you're at. So what floats your boat, even though you might have a job? What floats your boat? Okay, now who are the people in that field that are crushing it? Why are they crushing it? Why can't you? You know, they started with the same story you have.
Yeah.
So whatever that purpose and passion is, it's within you. And a man with purpose, that's really where the guy finds his mojo. Yeah. Once he's on fire, that's where the mojo is. And it's a process. It doesn't happen overnight. For a lot of guys, they have to sit with it for quite a while. But for most of you, you know already. You're just procrastinating. You're just allowing it to be bigger than it really is, and it's really not.
Yeah. Wow. That's huge advice. And, it's so in alignment with, the things that I've always recognized and taught is, see the best attributes that you can find in somebody else and look inside and develop those, and also look for the worst things and then spit those things out of you because they're probably somewhere inside of you. Now, one last question I want to get, and then I'll just let you, you take it home with any last advice that you got for guys. Do you have a specific, routine? Like I like to break down routines, and for myself, I like to get into people's heads. Like, do you got what's your routine? Because I've tried on a couple different routines, and I found different morning routines get, some very different results. And some guys have morning and evening routines. Do you have a specific agenda or thing that specifically works for you?
Well, interesting that we're having this conversation now. Today, I actually just, I've been with the 5 a.m. club for quite a while, and now I'm the 4 a.m. club.
Holy moly.
Yeah, I just crushed it. I went, okay. And one of my mentors is amazing man, Hal Alrod. And he runs a program called the Miracle Morning. And I'm going, okay, 5 o'clock. And sometimes I'll do it. Sometimes it's, I'll probably do it 4 out of 7 days of the week because sometimes I have to work late. But my morning routine is I get up at 4. First thing you do is when you arise, the night before, put a large glass of water at the nightstand. Large glass of water at the nightstand. And that's the first thing. You get out of bed and you chug that. Get hydrated. First thing. Then get your ass to the washroom. Do your business, but brush your teeth. Brush your teeth, even though it's before breakfast. Brush your teeth, because if you're waking up early, what brushing your teeth does is it wakes you up in an amazing way. You get that fresh mouth feeling. And it really surprised me when I first tried that. It really keeps you awake. And if you have a hard time getting up, make sure that your alarm clock or your phone, I just use my phone as my alarm, I don't have that problem anymore, but put it somewhere where you've got to get up in order to turn it off. The next thing I do is I get my ass to the gym. So getting my body in motion is really big. And I find, and Shane, you probably know this too, that your metabolic rate is, for me anyway, it's amped up in the morning. When you get that furnace going, you can metabolize foods and whatnot. You burn them off so much better throughout the day.
Yeah.
So that's why I do it in the morning. Now, I also do this in the morning too, because I found that if I didn't do my morning workout, my workout is what gets sacrificed through a busy day. Yeah. Because in my world, speaking and going to networking events and hanging out with amazing people, there's going to be an opportunity where, hey, Dwayne, there's some people that want to meet you. Well, that's going to take a priority, and I'm going to have a busy evening. I don't want to sacrifice my workout. I come home, I shower, and then I have what's called my hour of power. And my hour of power is broken up into three segments. I'll journal, or I'll write, I'll meditate, and I'll do affirmations. So those three things get my headspace going. And then this is all done before 7:30. And so then from 7:30 to 8, nutritious breakfast, and then I'll start planning my day and all the things that I need to do, so that by 8:30 I hit the ground running. I know exactly what I need to do, how to do it, when to get it done, and I've accomplished more than most people have done throughout the entire day by 8 o'clock.
Yeah, wow. That is stellar routine. I'm going to try that brushing very first thing. I usually do that after breakfast, but yeah, that actually makes, and then you don't have, morning breath or whatever. So you're exactly. It clears that whole thing out, probably kills a bunch of bacteria, and you're like, less stuff hurting you. So that's great. Now, I don't know if I could try 4 a.m., but what time do you got to go to bed if you're doing 4?
Well, 10 p.m. would probably be the latest. Like last night I think it was already 11:15 by the time the light went out. But I can function on 5 hours. It took a while. It took me a while to get to 5 a.m. So baby steps, do it 6 a.m., push it an hour and see what happens. This 4 a.m. really, I mean, that's the night shift,
That's early. Holy smokes.
And I was going, you're nuts. There's no way. But I did it this morning. I tell you, Shane, I was walking in tranquility. I mean, my walk from my condo to the fitness center, it's a beautiful parkway. It goes over bridges and whatnot. Yeah. And the pre-dawn hours, wow, it's just amazing.
Yeah.
And then to be leaving the gym when the keeners are just arriving.
No kidding. Well, I got myself down to 5:30, and I've been working towards 5 a.m. Well, I guess I got to go. I'm going to have to try that scale and get down to 4. I'm up for the challenge, bro. I'm going to give that a try.
All right.
Yeah. So is there anything else that you wanted to touch? And, for anyone who's watching, you can reach out to Dwayne Klassen. It's DWAYNE KLASSEN, Dwayne Klassen. And you can reach out to him on Facebook. I think you have a public figure page as well. You've got your book, The Remarkable Man. I would highly recommend getting that book, guys, and connecting with Dwayne. If you're ever interested in learning about how to become a remarkable man, look, I think in my take on this and what Dwayne's done is that, men today really need to get empowered. They need to step up to the plate and realize that it's not a difficult place to be. In fact, you're going to be more on fire in your life. You're going to be feeling better. Your health's going to improve. When you step up to what your potential is, when you start making those moves, but you got to get clear. You got to get super clear on what it takes, and don't let yourself get diminished as a man, because there's the chivalry needs to come back,
No question.
That higher level of integrity and morals and ethics and accountability needs to come back from men, because that's where true leadership really lies, is in the character attributes of men. So Dwayne, anything else you want to throw in there?
You've covered it, brother. I guess it would be just know, brothers, that you're not alone on the journey. I've got your back, and there are a lot of brothers out there that have your back as well. And you know, it is a process. It's a journey, but know that your why has to be huge. Make it really epic. And if you need help with that, just know that you're here to be a champion to women. You're here to be a hero to the children in this world, and you're here to be a brother to each other, as Shane and I are brothers and moving forward. And the fine work that Shane is doing, he's just rocking it, knocking it out of the park, doing amazing things. And I'm looking forward to the book, brother. Really am.
Yeah. It's going to be awesome. Well, listen, thank you guys. You know, I hope you got some good value from this. And Dwayne, I really appreciate you, brother, for hopping on here and adding some huge value to guys and even ladies who are watching this, because there's a lot of takeaways for both sexes. This isn't just a guys only conversation, and women need to know what's going on with guys too, to help them step up to the plate, to help them get cleared, to help them, you know, get into their alpha. And so with that being said, I'm going to let you go, brother. Thank you so much. And take care, guys.
Thanks so much, Shane.